I'm not using my HELOC to go on a nice vacation. I'm not buying
Hopefully
a nice
you're not buying a yacht like the other ones, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So what would a HELOC, home equity line of credit, what does it mean? How does this work? Who's it good for?
Yeah.
When do I do it?
It's using that equity that's there, that gap, that spread. You know, your property is the leverage for it. It's saying my home is worth $1,200,000. My mortgage is $600,000. I could really use $100 grand here to do whatever it might be, whether it be help my kids, help my grandkids. You can access that equity through the home equity line of credit. And you're able to do that up to a percentage of 65% of your home's value.
Okay.
Take that capital out and use it for investing, use it for gifting, use it for whatever you need it for.
Okay, interesting. Okay. And now from that standpoint, what am I looking at rate-wise, cost-wise? Is it like a reverse mortgage? Do I pay right away? What am I looking at with a HELOC?
Great question. So a HELOC is just like a normal mortgage in the sense that you have payments, but you can pay. Picture it like it's open, we call it. So let's say, for example, let's use round numbers. 100 grand, take $100,000. So the bank will say, okay, you're approved for $100,000 line of credit. Let's say you only want to use 50,000 of it. You pay interest only per month on the amount that you use, like a credit card, right? But interest is far lower. So the interest rate is going to be closer to your mortgage interest rate. So it's usually like, we call it prime plus something. So it might be, if your interest rate for your mortgage is 4%, maybe your HELOC is 5%.
Okay, so you prime, and prime being, what's prime? What does prime mean?
Prime is the interest rate that the overnight lending rate that the banks have. So without getting too technical, basically prime is like a rate. We'll call it right now, let's say it's 4.45. And then they'll say, okay, so your mortgage variable rate might be prime minus a percentage.
Okay.
Your home equity line is going to be prime plus a percentage. So if you're going to use $30,000 of your HELOC to do whatever you're going to use it for, you only pay interest only on that particular draw that you've taken out. And you can pay it, the difference is that you can pay it back down anytime. People use their HELOC to invest. I've used my own personal HELOC before to go ahead and buy an investment property. I've used it for the down payment, knowing that when I refinance that property, I'm going to pay the HELOC right back. It's open-ended, so you don't pay a penalty like your regular mortgage to dump a chunk of money on it. You can just pay it right down.
Fair flat. Okay, cool. So I'm not using my HELOC to go on a nice vacation. I'm not buying
Hopefully you're not buying a yacht like the other ones, right?
Okay. So similar in a sense, I think the number one thing to take away from all of these options is it's almost as if you're using your money. It's cash you get access to, but you have to look at it from a standpoint of, if I'm being charged 6%, we'll say, whatever I'm moving this money to has to make sense, and it's going to return me more than 6%. I think that's the caveat a lot of people miss with home equity line of credit. I'm going to say the 3 things I think you should use it for. You tell me if it's yes or no. Number 1, of course, is going to be buying an investment prop. Things make sense. I'm going to take $100K, put my 20% down. Hopefully the cash flow and everything else are going to cover each other. I pay it back.
Okay.
Number 2, emergencies. I got to pull the cash, something happens, I got to use it. And my third one here, and this is kind of my interesting one here, because this is always the one that's up for discussion, is do I lend the money, invest it in the stock market? Maybe I do some private lending with it. What would you say that third alternative usage for a HELOC could be? Or is there something that would be, this is what you should be doing right now?
Great questions. I'd say there's 4 uses.
Okay, 4. Okay,
And let's go back to, so number 1, 2, correct. For sure, emergencies, investment property, if it makes sense, we meet with a real estate professional, run the numbers, make sure that you have a strategy and an exit strategy. Yes. Number 3, I have a lot of content on this on my page, in fact, about this, whether or not you should use debt to invest in things like Bitcoin.
Is your YouTube page or Instagram?
Yeah, both. Yeah.
So right down here, hit the link right there.
You'll find it. You'll find it. Most definitely. I caution on that one. And then the 4th one is going to be if you want to go ahead and access your HELOC to help out family, right? Like, so we get a situation where a lot of folks they're helping family with their particular debts. And so we've done a lot of debt consolidation because people have helped kids. They've helped kids. They might have a daughter who's going to be, or a son who's going to be having a wedding. Helping kids, helping grandkids, helping somebody else. That's another reason to use a home equity line. But yes, it's always very important that when you're tapping into that home equity line, that you know the numbers. It does make sense to use I completely agree, to use a 5% HELOC if you can achieve and yield 10% over here with another investment or more. Makes complete sense.
Okay, interesting. And then honestly, to actually piggyback, which I kind of have gone over with some clients sometimes too, is especially if you've been in your house for 20 years, 30 years, I guess this is a 5th vessel, is using your HELOC and having it on your home for the sake of having it. Are there costs to have a HELOC? And then my 2-part question to that is, where I think the biggest opportunity for someone on a HELOC is someone who's thinking of selling, because there's always that little bit of stuff you need to do on your home. Whether that be, and again, this is going to be repainting it, ripping out that carpet that's been there for 30 years that aren't going to return you value. But another option is through that, you can use your HELOC to renovate, construction, whether that be upkeep and just getting that property ready. Because again, you could take a HELOC for 3 to 6 months because you're going to sell your home.
Fantastic advice. In fact, what we do for folks, we almost always recommend when we're doing a renewal or refinance, if there's an opportunity to attach a HELOC onto the mortgage or structure the mortgage style so that there's a HELOC there, we often encourage folks to do that because you don't pay a dime, to answer your question, on the HELOC unless you're using it.
Okay.
It's just there, but it's always good to have that capital and equity there in the event that you do need it down the road, because if you go to get it later, you may not qualify, you may get turned down, you may have to pay fees for it.
Right.
So when there's an opportunity when you're refinancing or renewing, we like to structure it there. And the second part of your question is, yes, indeed, it's great to have there for those little things. You never want to over renovate, which we see a lot of people do, but yes, if you don't want to tap into other capital or investments or backup funds, have that HELOC there. It might be $10,000, it might be $5,000, it might be
20, 30 max,
nothing crazy. But it's there, and that way you don't have to worry about that.
Well, thanks so much for coming in, Nate. We really appreciate all the information. There's been some great information here from home equity line, house hacking, reverse mortgages. Again, the bottom is going to have our information there if you want to reach out, set up a phone call to actually deep dive into your situation. Thanks for subscribing. If you like this, hit the subscribe button, and we will be doing this. We're going to try to check in with different professionals amongst the industry. Leave some comments if there's any people you want to see, you want to hear from, or any topics you want to know. We'll be jumping on there to discuss it all.